So maybe you've seen some videos on social media of people doing some of the craziest calisthenic skills, and you think to yourself, how does someone go from like normal push-ups to doing these super cool handstand push-ups, or how do you go from pull-ups to doing one-arm pull-ups? Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you how progressive overload works with calisthenics and how you can use it to become a calisthenic beast. So I'm sure all of you guys know what progressive overload is. You hear it all the time, and it's pretty much just increasing the difficulty of an exercise over time by either increasing the reps, the sets, decreasing the rest time. However, there is one more way that is very unique to calisthenics and bodyweight training, and that is manipulating your center of mass with levers. So put on some of the nerdiest glasses you can find, because it's time to learn some stuff. I can't see a thing with those. So we're gonna start off with push-ups, which are pretty much a staple in everyone's workout. However, they do get pretty easy pretty quickly. Once you can do around 25 or more, it's time to start making them harder. And there are two ways you can really go about it, and that is changing your center of mass horizontally or vertically. So the way you go from normal push-ups to a handstand push-up, you wanna slowly increase the amount of weight you're putting onto your shoulders. So from a normal push-up, you're gonna start progressing towards a decline push-up. That's gonna put a bit more weight on your shoulders and your upper chest. Start working on those. That's a pretty good way to start getting more vertically. It's all about just slowly working your way up to it. And then from decline push-ups, you're gonna go into pike push-ups, which are an amazing exercise to mimicking the vertical pushing that you are going to be doing with the handstand push-up. Going to move your feet closer to your hands to really get that pike position. And the closer your feet are to your hands, the more weight you're gonna be shifting onto your hands. And the more you lean forward, you'll probably feel that your feet start to come off the ground. That's when you know you're putting a lot of your weight onto your shoulders, and that is perfect. That's how you want to do it. That's how you're going to get those shoulders stronger and prepared to start carrying more of your body weight. And now, can you guess what the next step is? That's right, you're going to go into a more vertical pike push-up, and that is by elevating your feet. That's going to put you even more vertically and put more weight onto your shoulders. You want to make sure you're keeping your form very pristine. You're not bending at your lower back. You're not bending at your legs. You really want to make sure you're a straight wooden board, and you're gonna go even more vertical, and that's going from elevated pike push-ups all the way to a wall handstand push-up. You're pretty much as vertical as you can get. You are stacking, your entire body weight is being held up by your shoulders, and you have progressively overloaded to the point where your entire body weight is now stacked onto your shoulders. Now obviously with the wall, you're not really using much balance, so it's really important that if you want to do a handstand push-up, that you actually learn how to do a handstand as well. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't do a handstand, you're not going to be able to do a handstand push-up. So going vertical, like I said, is not the only way you can do it. You can also go horizontal. So keeping your hands in the same position as you lean forward and your hands get closer to your waist, you start putting a lot more weight onto your shoulders. Now by leaning forward, you are pretty much doing planche leans, which is a great way to start learning towards your planche. And you can still do push-ups in this position by doing pseudo planche push-ups. As long as you maintain that forward lean throughout the entire movement, you're really gonna feel your shoulders burning because you are putting a lot of stress on them. So now to progressively overload even more, you're going to take your feet off of the ground and tuck them in nice and close. Then this will start working more on your balance as well. And this is gonna be the tucked planche hold. You can also do tucked planche push-ups in this position. So for the sake of time in this video, this is as far as I'll get towards the horizontal pushing, because the planche is a pretty intricate skill and it takes a lot of other stuff that you need to know about. And I don't want to dedicate this whole entire video just like rushing over the planche progressions because they take so long in between progressions. So yeah, this is where I'll draw the line, tucked planche push-up. So now let's talk about pull-ups. And the way you progressively overload with pull-ups is by changing the amount of weight you're pulling with each arm. So from normal pull-ups, go into a wide pull-up. That's going to be a bit more challenging than just the normal pull-up because your arms are pulling from farther away from your body. And then once you get really comfortable and good with wide pull-ups, you're going to start going into archer pull-ups, and this is where you can really start to see the amount of weight you're pulling with each arm. So with the archer pull-ups, you're pretty much pulling your whole body weight with one arm, slight assistance of the other arm, and then you just alternate from left to right. You're really gonna see that this is a really good exercise to work towards your one arm pull-up. With the archer pull-ups, you're really getting used to pulling in an uneven way where one arm is pulling more than the other, because now you're gonna go into uneven pull-ups. So that's where you're really going to pull even more of your body weight to a solid like 80-85% of your weight is being pulled by just one arm. And please make sure that when you're doing unilateral exercises like this, that you're training each side equally, because you really don't want to get muscle imbalance. But if you're only doing archer pull-ups on one side, you're only doing uneven pull-ups on one side, you're really gonna develop a pretty nasty muscle imbalance. So please make sure that you are training each side at least the same. And now you're pretty close to already doing one arm pull-ups. You're going to make it even harder by adding a resistance band, and you are trying to only use assistance when needed, and you're really trying to pull your entire body weight with just one arm, making sure you do it with both sides. That is a really good way to start getting used to the movement pattern of the one arm pull-up. And then once you get really comfortable and good with those, you just take the resistance band away and start doing one arm pull-ups. So you've gone from normal pull-ups and slowly increase the weight of each arm that is pulling all the way up where one arm can literally pull your entire body weight. These steps will take a very long time, making sure that you are progressing safely and efficiently, making sure you're getting really comfortable with each movement before you progress onto the next one. So you're going to start off with bodyweight rows, and for all the people that live down under, bodyweight rows and Australian pull-ups are the exact same thing. So to manipulate the center of mass in a bodyweight row is that you bring your legs up off the ground and you're really tucking your knees to the point where the center of your mass is pretty much directly underneath your lever, which is your hands. And in this tucked front lever hold, you can start to do nice little rows slash pull-ups. Since your legs are so far tucked up into your body, you probably notice that you can't get a full range of motion. However, that's going to change once the exercise gets a little bit harder. You'll start to open up your hips and start to be able to do a full range of motion. But just to start with, getting used to horizontally pulling your body weight in this way is a pretty good start. Now that you've been practicing your tucked front lever hold, you're going to start to extend at your hips and bring your legs out more to go from a tucked front lever into an advanced tucked front lever. And you'll start to realize that as you're extending your legs away from the center of mass, it's going to get a lot more difficult. So you want to make sure you're keeping everything nice and engaged, your glutes, your core, your arms, your back, just everything is nice and straight to really get that full body tension. And once you get really comfortable in this advanced front lever hold and start to do some pull-ups, do some rows, you'll find this a lot more challenging than the advanced tuck, because it is a pretty drastic change from, keeping your legs nice and tight to your body to extending at the hips. You'll get used to it and get stronger and start pulling closer and closer, bringing your hips closer to the bar. So very similar to the planche, I'm just gonna cut it here at the advanced tucked front lever rows. That's already pretty far in your progressive overload journey in your horizontal pulling. But once you get to that point and you wanna keep going and learning the full front lever, I do have a full tutorial on that. You can click the video above me if you are ready to start learning the front lever as well. Let's move on to the next exercise. Alright, so now we go on to one of my favorite exercises, and that's going to be dips. However, dips are a little bit trickier to implement this same center of mass manipulation technique that I've been showing you guys with all these other exercises. Because with the dips, it is a pretty interesting position that you're already in. If you want to add more weight to your shoulders and start leaning forward a bit more, as you can see, you're already turning your dip into more of a planche, which is fine. It's a similar movement pattern. But to me personally, I find that you can get a lot better chest pump and tricep pump if you just focus on doing normal dips and implementing different progressive overload techniques like time under tension. But that's just my personal opinion. I just like to keep them separate. Alright, so now we get to the point where a lot of calisthenics athletes are going to be super excited, jumping for joy. This is their favorite part of calisthenics, and that is squats. So yeah, this is where you're going to see a pretty big problem with calisthenics, and that is the leg training. You can definitely grow some pretty strong legs with calisthenics. So you can go from normal squats and slowly work your way up to assisted pistol squats, where you're essentially doing squats with one leg with your other leg extended out. Doing an assisted really takes away all the balance of it, but you're still squatting your entire body weight. But your legs are pretty freaking strong and they'll get used to this pretty quickly. So you can go from assisted pistol squats to unassisted pistol squats, where you're really putting more of the balance in. But like I said, that's pretty much it. Which is why you can see there's a big gap in leg training in calisthenics compared to upper body training with calisthenics. So I do highly recommend that you do every single exercise I just showed you, and to build that super solid foundation of leg strength and exercise. But if you want to go even farther and get bigger legs, I do recommend you start doing these exercises with weights, or just going to a more traditional barbell squats, like Bulgarian split squats, just doing all these exercises to really increase the strength of your legs and the size. Alright, so I'm putting this one at the very end as a little cherry on top, because if you've been paying attention, you'll probably realize that with pretty much every single exercise that I've shown you in this video, your core is engaged all the time. So you won't really see too many calisthenic athletes training their core and progressively overloading it directly, mainly because with all these exercises you're already training your core, but that doesn't mean you can't directly train it and progressively overload it. My favorite way of doing that is by doing hanging ab exercises. You can start off by doing hanging knee raises. Once you get good at those, you start doing hanging knee holds. That makes it a little bit more difficult by staying in that static position, but then from there you just extend your legs out. Go from knee raises into leg raises, and then once you get good at leg raises, you do hanging leg raise holds or L-sit holds, hanging L-sit holds. And then once you get good at those, all 4 of those exercises, you get a pretty strong core, and then you start working your way up to toes to bar. That's when you know you've got a pretty strong core. So now, this whole thing has just been one way of progressively overloading that is unique to bodyweight training. So it is very important that with these ways of progressively overloading, you are also incorporating the other ways of progressively overloading. Like I said previously, adding sets, reps, time under tension, decreasing your rest times. And by making sure that you're doing at least one of these methods of progressively overloading, you're ensuring that your muscles and your tendons are getting stronger every single time. So just be patient with it, keep progressively overloading, and you will become a calisthenic beast. So I really hope you guys learned something today in this video. This is definitely a bit more of a knowledge based than I usually make, but I thought a lot of people would find this really useful, so I made it anyways. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching and peace out.